All right, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Outsider Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Mackey, and always my co-host, Smokin' Jay Cutler.
You're really sticking with that, aren't you?
You know, if you got it. And today we have a very special guest on, one of my all-time favorite country music artists. He has sold over 13 million albums.
You're nervous about this.
I fucked that up in my truck, too.
You're nervous about this.
And has had 18 number one singles, decorated CMA winner, and just released his new EP, Out Here in It. Please welcome the one and only Tracy Lawrence.
Great intro, man. Thank you. I'm honored to be here, guys.
He's nervous about this. He's like a little girl. He's got
I underlined the M in 13 million, so I would say it correctly, and I still fucked it up.
How are you going to say it?
Just way I didn't stumble over it.
Okay.
And guess what I did?
Stumbled over it.
Yes, sir. Tracy, welcome. Appreciate you.
Thanks for being. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. So I want to start back at the beginning. What was growing up in Atlanta, Texas like?
You know, I actually grew up in Foreman, Arkansas. I was born in Atlanta. My mom remarried when I was about 4 years old, and my stepdad was from Southwest Arkansas. So we moved to the other side of Texas County. Texas County is the most central place right there, right off Interstate 30. So I grew up in farm country. I mean, I grew up driving a tractor and feeding cows and all that kind of stuff from a very early age. But I went from kindergarten through 12th grade in Arkansas, but I always went back and spent my summers in Queen City, Atlanta, summers and holidays with my grandparents in East Texas.
Okay. Foreman, Atlanta, right? Is that what you said?
Foreman.
Where's that in relation to like Fort Smith or Fayetteville?
If you get off of Interstate 30 on Highway 41, you'll cross the Red River, which is the border between Arkansas and Texas. Oklahoma runs on the west side. You go straight up 41, you'll hit Interstate 40, and you'll go right into Fayetteville.
Gotcha.
Right up that Oklahoma line.
I spent quite a bit of time out there. It's beautiful up there.
It's beautiful country, especially as you get up in the hood, the foothills of the Smokies and stuff, the Ozarks right there. We've used to kayak all those rivers and things growing up. I mean, just some beautiful countryside. A lot of turkey hunting, a lot of wild game. I mean, all the camps, Boy Scout camp, and all that stuff was up there. So
you do a lot of hunting as a kid?
I did a lot. I like to fish a lot more, so I fished a lot. I mean, it's just loved being outside when I was a kid.
Fishing rivers or lakes mainly?
Ponds and stuff, a lot of river fishing. But you know, as I got older and was able to get a boat, I mean, I like freshwater fishing too. But I'm a catch and eat kind of guy. I'm not a bass guy. I mean, I like crappie fishing and catfish and stuff like that.
I've never been into bass fishing.
Well, I just have a hard time letting them go when I catch them. I want to take them home and eat them.
I know.
I love bass fishing, and I love crappie fishing. My cousin taught me a technique when I was, I don't know, maybe in middle school, and it's a technique I still use. Take a bobber and a little jig down below and put a little crappie power bait on the hook. And then with that bobber, the only thing it's used for is just to tease the top of the water. And you just pop it, let it sit, and boom, they hit it.
I grew up bluegill fishing. Like my dad had access to this property. It was all old sugar pits.
Yeah.
They filled up, and for some reason, I mean, they were bluegill like as big as my hand.
Oh man, they get big.
Yeah.
I went this last winter crappie fishing with my cousin Dustin up in Central Illinois, and went on his buddy's boat, and he had one of those new what are they called?
Fish finders?
It's the new fish finder. I think it's called like Real something or Life something. I forget.
Yeah.
And he had those long crappie poles. Have you seen those?
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? And
Hey, what are those?
They're just extremely long fishing poles. You don't even realize.
You just kind of hang them out there like old cane poles used to be, except they're really extended out, so you kind of reach around those stumps when you're flat bottom boat fishing.
And he'd be like, "Oh, there's a good one." He's like, "Drop it down, come to the right, back towards you," and you literally put that little jig right in front of the fish, and he goes, "Oh, he's about to get it. He's coming up." Boom, and you hammer him.
Seems like cheating.
I mean, you watch the fish bite it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
The Kentucky pond is stocked with crappie.
Which one?
The original one.
You really?
Yeah.
We need to go
Crappie,
catch some of that.
bluegill.
Kentucky Lake? Or,
No, I've got a farm in Kentucky,
yeah.
and we got one pond that's like 12 acres and one's like 40, but we stocked the 12-acre one.
Has anyone fished the 40-acre one?
Not that I know of.
We need to do that. So, when did you start playing the guitar or singing music? How'd all that come to fruition when you were young?
You know, when I was little, I mean, I was really, my early memories of like Glenn Campbell and Charlie Pride. Glenn Campbell had the the variety show on when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I remember, parting my hair like Glenn Campbell and all that stuff, and singing all those old songs. So I mean, and during that period, you had stuff like Kenny Rogers. I was doing the Coward of the County and all that stuff. I mean, singing for family. Really, when I was about 12 years old, it was really when I started thinking that it was something that I might want to do for a living. George Strait had just come out, and I really got into that Texas sound, but I was really into Merle Haggard and a lot of the real traditional country. And it wasn't very long after that, Randy Travis came out, hit real hard. So there was a lot of great country music in the 80s that was extremely influential.
Were your parents musically inclined at all?
No, not really. I grew up in a household that really, Daddy didn't even want the radio on in the car when we were driving. So it was just
silence.
It was just my
hear the wind.
I just always felt like I had it inside of me from an early age. Was football like that for you?
Oh yeah. I played basketball and baseball also, but I got to a point I wasn't quite 12. I was probably 14 or so, and I was like, I'm just playing the other sports just to play. I'm like, football. I knew I wanted to continue playing football in some capacity for sure.
Yes,
it just felt different.
I've always, and I've talked to my kids, and if you can find something that you're passionate about, especially at a young age, because a lot of people never really have that. It's a special thing to really find something that you can grab a hold of.
Especially that young.
That young. I mean, it's a very rare thing, and I always felt like I always knew where I wanted to go. I didn't know how to get there, but I felt really confident in the fact that I knew what I wanted to do, which I can't say that anybody else around me growing up really had that.
You're in a unique situation where you're in a profession that you never really have to retire. Jay and I both had our professions. We had to retire. This is kind of a off-the-cuff question. If you had to retire and you couldn't do music anymore, what would you do?
I've got several outside business ventures. I'm involved in the real estate development right now, so I'm working on other things. I don't know. I still do my radio show. I'm doing a podcast like you guys. I mean, I just anything to stay busy and stay creative. I think that's the most important part. Is just stay engaged in life. I don't think I could stop living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you a busybody?
Not as bad as I used to be. After some injuries, I've had a few surgeries and things, so my body's slowed down a little bit, so I can't do a lot of the things that I used to do. And, that frustrates me, because I used to be extremely active. I'm climbing up on the house and changing floodlights, and there's a lot of stuff that I ain't going to do no more. I'm not getting up on the ladders anymore.
I understand.
I don't bounce like I did when I was young. When you were a kid, you hit the ground when you fell out of a tree, you actually bounced a little bit. I don't bounce anymore.
He asked me to play pickleball after this, and honestly, I thought to myself, "Oh, I woke up too late to go on a run and get some stretching in." Like that's where I'm at right now, and we're about to go play pickleball.
I woke up this morning. I was a little tight. I was like, "Dang!" I mean, the court's as big as this room.
I've never played.
You don't have to pickleball should be an Olympic sport before breakdancing should be an Olympic
100%.
sport. Come on, man. 100% I mean, especially if we're going to get talent from Australia. I'm just saying.
So I've only seen memes of that.
Oh, it's so bad.
And then I saw someone do a celebration dance. I forget what it was for.
My gosh.
Someone did that Australian gal's breakdance as a celebration dance and event.
I looked for it online. I think like the internet got scrubbed of it somehow.
Yeah, it was so bad.
You can't find it. You can only find like the memes and stuff like that. And then I heard that I think it got axed for the 2028 Olympics in LA.
Already.
Yeah, they're like, we're not doing breakdancing.
Pickleball's in.
I think it should be.
Well, I think flag football is coming in at some point. I don't know if it's this.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Pretty sure.
Huh. Do you think it's just going to be a bunch of position players?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we should win. U.S. should win.
I mean, I would freaking hope so.
I mean, we lost in 3-3 basketball, though. I don't know how that's possible either.
That's totally different.
I don't know. That's off.
I could be wrong.
Off subject. Pickleball should be in, though.
Yeah.
We can all agree upon that.
And breakdancing is out.
Breakdancing should never be in.
Yeah, I tried, man. I just couldn't watch it. It was bad.
What's your favorite Olympic sport to watch? In summer.
The summer, the gymnastics is awesome. Love the swimming. Synchronized diving was pretty cool, but I became a fan of rugby this year.
Rugby, yeah.
Rugby. I'm not a huge soccer fan. It's so spread out. I have a hard time following it. I like hockey a little bit, but the rugby, they get out there.
They get after
freaking
it.
Hit.
Did you guys see that gal who won it
She's
in the last
tough.
play of the game? Did you see that
the
one?
one where she broke free and made that run all the way.
That was impressive.
And they won the bronze from that, didn't they? First,
I know they won a medal, but I'm not too sure.
I think they won a bronze for that one. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But my favorite Olympic sport is curling. I don't know why. It's just so strange. It's like shuffleboard with a rock.
Have you been up to Minnesota with any of the bars that have it in there? I have not,
but it looks. I mean, I'm all about it. Yes.
There's bars in Minnesota where I haven't been to one. My cousin told me about it. It's kind of like Top Golf or throwing darts or whatever. You go get your pitchers of beer and you rent a lane and you go out there and you
like bowling or something where you just go play. How cool is that?
There's nothing else to do in Minnesota. It's either ice fish or curling.
Make babies.
Yeah. Have you ice fished before since you like fishing?
I have not.
Don't do it. It's a waste of time.
I love it. But you just sit around and drink beer.
You just sit around and drink.
That's all.
Yeah.
Isn't that what most sports are?
It's very true.
It's golf. I mean, especially as you get older. I mean, you can't drink. Hatchet throwing, golf, bowling,
cornhole.
Cornhole. Yeah.
So
cornhole could be an Olympic sport too.
It should be an Olympic sport, actually. If breakdancing's in,
they hit us up. The Cornhole Association or whatever hit us up or hit me up this week. Wanted to know if we wanted to sponsor
the West Haven one.
No,
like the real ACL.
Yeah,
the big guys.
Mm-hmm. I said,
did you say yes?
I said, let's get Jay involved, then we'll have a conversation.
Hell yes.
So. More to follow on that. So when you were 12 years old, you knew you wanted to be a musician. You were already singing and songwriting, or you knew you had it, or
I was developing.
Who taught you how to play?
I learned. I actually taught myself the guitar chords from the back of a church camp handbook that had a bunch of old John Denver songs and things that I knew. So I mean, it had the fingering chart and everything. So I basically learned to play.
I feel like a lot of musicians learn how to play themselves.
At least the entry stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot from the guys on the road over the years, but I kind of learned enough to navigate around, play basic chords and things.
Figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did you make the decision to move out here to Nashville, and how'd that go at home?
When I moved here in September of 1990, and I had left school and I'd been bouncing around. I lived in Louisiana, played in a couple different bands. I was living in Ruston, Louisiana, playing in a little circuit band. The band was called Phoenix, and we were playing around Ruston, Monroe, and Shreveport, some stuff back into Arkansas. And in '89 was the year that Garth Brooks, Clint Black, Travis Tritt, Vince Gill, Alan Jackson, Mark Chestnut, all those guys came out, and you could just feel that something was changing.
Yeah.
I was playing a little circuit band. We were doing weekend stuff 2 or 3 days a week, and I'm like, if I'm going to go to Nashville, I need to go now. So '89 rolled through. I was playing a lot of that new stuff. How old were you? I would have been, I was 22 in 1990 when I moved to town. And I was going to go back. I had re-enrolled in Louisiana Tech, and I was going to go back and finish my degree. I was majoring in mass comm, so I'd got my schedule laid out, and I'd had my Pell Grant and all that stuff approved. I'm like, I got to get out of here. If I go back to school, I'm gonna wind up getting married.
How'd you get stuck in Ruston?
That's where the band band was located. I'd left. I went to college in Magnolia, which was Southern Arkansas University. So I was it's right there and generally in that area. And I just realized that if I was going to go, I needed to go then. I didn't have anything tying me down. I just sold everything I had, packed my old car up, and played my last weekend gig, and came to Nashville for broke. It was pretty crazy.
You just left the band?
Left the band. None of them wanted to come.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of them I was always the youngest guy in the band. The guys were always in their, upper 30s or whatever. With
kind of a hobby
and stuff, and just piddling on the weekends and stuff. Well, it was more serious for me. But I came to Nashville and didn't really know anybody, and just first job I got a job over in Portland, Tennessee, hanging steel siding on a warehouse, and went back to work in construction. And it's like I had to kind of bail from that. I didn't come to Nashville to do that, so I started hanging out all the places the songwriters and the road musicians and all that stuff hang out during town, and so I got to town in September of '90. In December, I wound up over at a radio show over in Daysville, Kentucky called Live at Libby's, and it was a steakhouse and a little Opry-style show, and the Kentucky radio station broadcast back into Nashville on Saturday nights. So I started going over there and playing every weekend, and pay me like $50 and feed me, one of those kind of things. And I'd do a couple songs in the early set, and then they did doing an intermission, and then the headliner, they had a Johnny Cash impersonator, and they had a George Jones impersonator, so you kind of get the whole vibe of it all. Well, in December, I'd been playing over there for 3 or 4 weeks, and some executives from Nashville came over to see somebody else that was on the show, and they liked me better. And in January, I did a showcase at the Bluebird, and in May, I walked in the studio and cut my first album. I had 3 number ones in the top 5 off of it. Shit. 7 months from the time I rolled into town.
Just like that.
Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
I've never heard of anybody doing it.
Good.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of musicians on here, and you hear about the early day struggle. You know, so many people in an apartment, X, Y, and Z, playing every gig, every night, just that grind. You know, and so it's very impressive.
But it was still from 12 to 20 though. You were still.
Oh, and I was playing anytime I could get on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all consuming. And you know, when I went to college, I went on a choir scholarship, so I was singing the choral ensemble with the powder blue tuxedos and all that. Oh yeah, it was tough. That was my grueling time.
What was Nashville like back then? What was Broadway like? Where'd everybody hang out?
Broadway was a dump, man.
Yeah, it was trash.
Prostitutes and drug heads and all
Really?
that stuff down there. It was pretty tragic. Printer's Alley was where everybody hung out, but there were a few places off the beaten path where the road musicians and the songwriters. There was Gabe's, the Broken Spoke, and the Rose Room. Broken Spoke and the Rose Room were the three. Gabe's and the Broken Spoke were both on Trinity Lane, and they're both gone now. The Rose Room is out off Stewart's Ferry Pike, and I think there's a restaurant in there now. But those were the places, and they had a little contest where they'd let you get on stage and sing, and I could win $100 here and there to kind of supplement my lifestyle, which was barely being able to buy one beer when you went out back then, you know.
Even when I got here in 2000, downtown was still pretty much a dump. I mean, you had Stage and
Tootsie's, yeah.
And Roberts and all the, but the other side of the street, you didn't go over there.
No, it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But it's, you know what I miss about it so much is that Music Row was like a little town inside of this big city. And there was so much energy there, and I knew all the publishing houses, and you know, when the charts would come out on Monday night, and we'd all go to this bar, and everybody would hang out and wait for the numbers to come in, and during the week you knew where everybody was hanging out, where the songwriters were, so it was like its own little community, which gave it a certain charm. And now that's all kind of gone. You know, Music Row is just, it's apartments and condos now. Everything's just kind of busted up. It doesn't have the same feel to it to me as it used to.
Is there any spots currently that have that little feel to it, or where guys hang out? Or
really Losers is kind of where everybody in the industry goes. You know, that's kind of the hangout where, you know, Jamie and all the guys hang out. I don't particularly go downtown much, man. I'm a little bit older. My kids are grown, and I go to work and I come home, you know.
So what was your first tour like after you cut that album?
Wild.
Who were you on tour with?
That first few months when I went out, I did a lot of stuff by myself, and, you know, kind of opened it up on a few festivals. But the first big tour I went out with was George Jones. So in '92, I did a couple of years.
23, 24?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Freaking awesome, man.
Was he sober?
George was sober. George was very grandfatherly at that time. His favorite thing to do, and you learn real quick to kind of cover your manhood up, because you'd be walking to meet greet, and he'd catch you not looking, and he'd just backhand you. Take a bow, son. I'll just pop you, boy.
Take a bow, son.
Take a bow, son. But I loved him. He was always very cool to me. But I heard a lot of those old stories, man. One of my favorite Jones stories, my piano player at the time, Flip's first road gig, he was a native Nashvilleian, great piano player. His first road gig was with Jones when he was like 18 years old.
Really?
And he said there was this one night during Jones's period where he was drinking real heavy when he was in his no-show. And they were playing this theater, and the promoter said, George, I'm not going to give you money till you walk on stage. I don't want you leaving. So the bus was over here, and them theaters like that, there was an entrance door on one side, and then there was an exit door completely on the other side of the stage. So George came out, and he told his bus driver, Pee-wee, he said, pull the bus around the other side. So he's standing there, he got his guitar on and everything, and the band's vamping, and said, the promoter's handing him his check as he walks out on stage. George walks by, grabs the check, heads right across to the other door, gets right in the bus, and freaking leaves. I love those old stories, man.
You know, George Jones is probably my favorite country music singer. My grandpa has a story. He lived in central Illinois, and they used to drive down to Nashville for shows and what have you. And he's standing in line to see George Jones. He pulls up, and I think he said a big green Lincoln. And my grandpa's in line. He walks, and George Jones gets out, and there's this pretty girl in line, and he goes, "Here you go, honey," and flips her the keys.
Wow.
I don't know if you ever heard.
I've never heard that
him giving away vehicles, but
were you guys on the same label? How'd you end up on his tour?
Just there was the Red Man Crown Royal tour, so they had me and John Anderson and Mark Chestnut. They kind of rotated a lot of us through, but I was on a whole bunch of them. Just one of those things. That's kind of what the established acts try to do. That's what we all try to do is grab somebody that's young and hot before they get real expensive. I mean, they want to grab you up, and it's good for everybody because you get in front of big crowds and kind of get your fan base going. So it was very important early on.
And that was all just buses then. You guys are just touring.
Oh yeah, I love being on the bus, man. We still grind it out. Man.
What do you like about it?
It's just the lifestyle. It's kind of nomadic in a lot of ways. And I mean, I ask people, other artists and stuff, when you close your eyes and you think about what you dreamed about when you were a kid, what was your dream? Did you see your name on the marquee? Did you hear the fans yelling when you throw that touchdown pass in the Super Bowl? The dreams that we have. Mine was just about living on the bus. I didn't care. I just wanted to ride around and party on the bus all the time. There was just something very mystical about the whole thing. And it's just always been a very comfortable place for me. It's diesel sniffers.
What's your favorite thing about being on the road?
That part of the industry hasn't really changed that much. So the buses are still...
Buses are a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Satellites. And I'll tell you one more George Jones story. This one's great. So back then, George was one of the first people that I knew that had the satellite on top of the bus. Now we have the little bubbles and they track all the time. Well, George had one, and it was one of the stand-up ones like you have in your yard back in the day. And you'd have to get off the bus when you got parked and you'd take a compass and shoot it down the side. And there's a little mathematical equation. You could find one channel, you could get them all. But George came off the stage and the satellite was up. Pee-wee, I want to go. George, I got to put the satellite. I don't give a shit. Let's go. All right. So the satellite's up and he takes off and hits it on an overpass and it's flopping on the side of the bus. George didn't give a shit, man. He didn't care.
It sounds like Pee-wee just did whatever George said.
Whatever George said.
Job security
you want it,
right
George,
there.
that's what I do.
Have you seen the, I think it's a documentary on him or some sort of Netflix show?
Yeah, the movie.
Yeah.
The storyline was good. Didn't think too much of the singing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought both of them were great, but I'm half deaf, and can't sing with a shit.
Well, I mean, George was a phenomenal singer on another level. I mean, with a range and control that few people have, and it's hard to find anybody that can sing at that level.
So, you mind? You don't have to by any means talking about May 31st, 1991.
Sure.
And telling that story.
We had just finished. I just finished doing the background vocals on Sticks and Stones. And a friend of mine had come through that I graduated with, and she was heading up to see some other friends of ours in Indiana. And we'd gone out to some of the clubs that I mentioned earlier, the Broken Spoke and Gabe's and some of those clubs, and just kind of celebrating. She was leaving the next morning. I was dropping her back off at her hotel. And I pulled around the hotel and slid into a parking slot and opened the door with a pistol stuck in my face. Jeez. And so 3 young men made us get out of the car. They had 2 pistols and tried to force us up to a room, and she was able to get away, and I fought them off and got popped a few times. Yep, so it was pretty scary.
Did they ever catch those guys?
Nah.
And you still have a bullet in your hip?
I've had a lot of health problems from it over the years. Yeah. Still have a bullet in my hip. The one that's caused me the most problems went through my knee. It went right through the joint. So I had scoped 3 times over the years, wound up having a total on this leg in December of 16. So when that went out, when I got that fixed, then my ankle went out. I had surgery on it last year. Now I'm going to have a total on it somewhere in the near future. He wanted to wait for a while, so I'm still recovering from that. Now that I got that fixed, now my hip's going out. So it's just like it's chasing me around. So all of it goes back to that old injury that was really traumatic, man. I had a lot of bullet fragments and stuff in there. I mean, it grounded up. It just messed me up. And I was so mad, man. I mean, I used to sit down on Music Row because I could see their faces vividly for several years. I can't even remember anything about it that much anymore, but I would sit down on Music Row in the dark at night hoping I'd see them again. I was going to shoot them. I mean, I carried my pistol with me. I was very angry for a long time. But it took me a long time to get over that. I'm sure. And I never got the mental help that I needed, and I talk about that a lot, about making sure that when you go through traumatic things, you don't realize how long and heavy that stuff lingers on you. It causes a lot of problems in my relationships. I mean, and in some ways, as I got better over it, you get a little bit of a God complex where you think that, you can just get away with a lot of things, and I push things too far. It has detrimental effects on you if you don't deal with it with the right person.
I've seen that a lot in our community, and everyone sees these problem sets or these scenarios through a different lens. What affects one person might not affect the other, and so on and so forth. But I've seen guys come home after deployment, and they just weren't there anymore. Like it stole their soul, And it's taken one of my buddies. He's just now on the right path, and this is 14 years later.
It must be really hard assimilating back into normal society when everything that you've been taught to do and the skill sets that you've developed is unacceptable and not in normal society. You can't, it's just, you're not going to be shooting people. It's not an active war zone. And it's when you've been taught to do that above everything else and defend your brothers, that's got to be a really thing to kind of decompress or deprogram from.
Yeah, like I said, it hits everyone a little different. I always looked at it, I always thought it was a lot of fun. I'm dead serious. You grew up wanting to be a musician. I want to be a Navy SEAL since I was in the 4th grade.
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
With the movie Navy SEAL, Charlie Sheen came out.
Charlie Sheen,
boom.
Who doesn't love Charlie Sheen?
That is it. And I looked at it as just a problem set. So you're out there kind of playing chess and hide and seek all in one, but with guns. And it's just like someone does something or bad guys come out, and it's like who can make the offensive move faster and displace the other person and
not get killed.
Yeah,
but everybody does deal with the stress and the pressure of all of it in a different way, and some people just can't overcome it.
Yeah,
it's got to be tough. I want to ask you something since we're on the subject. What did you think about the Secret Service failures? Have y'all discussed that at all on this? I know we're bouncing around a lot, but it gives me an opportunity to go there because I can't believe they left that building unsecure.
I don't know how much we've discussed it, and this is just my point of view and with no inside knowledge or whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think it boils down to confidence in leadership and disassociated leadership, right? So I think the cops saw him, from what I know just as much as everyone else. The cops saw him, then the Secret Service saw him. So that Secret Service guy's looking at his job through another lens. If I shoot the wrong person, my life's over. They're going to come after my family. They're going to, everything, going to prosecute him to the fullest extent. So he calls up. It's just my guess. He calls up, asks for permission. That person above him is in the same boat, right? And they're hold off. And no one's really willing to make that decision because of the repercussions if the decision is not the right one.
Yeah.
And so then once shots are fired, then obviously you're cleared hot, right?
Are we totally under the assumption, and it's true that they spotted him before he shot, though?
That's what I assume.
That's what I assume too. That because their police officer was hoisted up where you could see him. The guy supposedly turned his gun on him.
If the sniper saw him before, because you see them move, you hear shots, and then you see him reposition, and then it's bang bang.
I don't know if they were talking, but I would just have to assume there's one common net, or channel that they were listening to.
Yep.
And then Secret Service has their own, the cops have their own, but there's a common one. I would have to assume that came out on the common net, and then the snipers honed in on them.
And to Tracy's point, I don't understand why that building wasn't under Secret Service control. It's 130 yards.
There's no reason for it not to be secured.
The fact that Donald Trump's still alive is a small miracle.
Yeah, it really is.
So competency failures, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what their protocol is beforehand or anything like that. If I was in charge of that sniper team, I'd be talking to all of them, have them check in. Anything you see anything suspicious, boom, check it in.
Yeah.
Other guys get eyes on it.
That's close.
Yeah.
You don't even need a scope to see that dude on this.
And if I was in charge of those guys, I would have the ultimate vantage point, watching all of them, watch their sectors. If someone saw something, I can see what they saw, and then I can back them up, like, yeah, go, or cleared hot, or I'd steal it from him and shoot the guy first.
Yeah,
that's just me.
I think it's conspiracy. I love a good conspiracy. So I think it was left open on purpose.
It's hard to believe that it wasn't.
Well, they say it
really
was
is.
a sloped roof. The snipers were on a sloped roof.
Right behind him. It's no big.
Every roof is sloped. That's why it's a roof.
Wasn't it a tin roof?
Right? A metal roof.
Yeah, metal roof.
Just like a metal building.
Just bullets are whipped through that thing. Just start sending them.
Yeah.
Let everybody shoot that guy.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do. But,
Well, unfortunately, we're never going to get the truth out of the FBI or Secret Service.
There's no way. Well, we'll find out who shot JFK before we know that.
Well, hopefully Donald's back in office and he just blows the blows it all up and
I
tells us
heard
what happens.
there was a drone flown beforehand too. I heard
And
that
it was his drone,
that's what I
shooter's
heard.
drone.
Yep.
His drone.
That's a little unbelievable. Like, come on.
The FAA is so strict on those things, man. That how did they allow that to go up there and not track it down immediately?
Yeah. And his parents, I guess, called in to the police a couple
'Cause he
hours
stole a
ago.
gun.
What makes it even stranger is that they've already cremated his body.
Yes.
Come on now.
Just released it immediately, like 48 hours after, like,
Let's get rid of this guy.
Typically, that happens pretty fast, though.
I mean, I feel like if
for
you
somebody
shoot,
that didn't want to do a tox screening, I mean, it seems like you'd want to take a little bit more time, especially after they try to assassinate an ex-president.
Yeah.
That's not like,
see if he was on anything.
I'm sure they.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You think his body might be confiscated by authorities for a short period of time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until this investigation is done.
Yeah.
Well, because you wonder, okay, was he compromised? Was he trained?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way he did all that alone.
Hell
It
no.
just didn't happen. There's no way he did all
No.
that by himself. It's impossible.
Making
and he
all-
was going to the shooting range with FBI guys too.
Oh, I
What?
didn't know that.
Oh,
Me
yeah.
neither.
Yeah, that's what some
Plot
of the stuff that I've heard.
thickens.
That where he was going doing target practice, that was where they all trained.
Really?
So he was around those people.
So Jay likes a good conspiracy.
I love a good.
All right. I'm not into him, but I will say this: there was a shooter in New York a couple years ago. They said he got out, I think, of a taxi cab or came out of a building, I forget, shot a couple people, and they said he had no firearm experience whatsoever, sole actor, blah, blah, blah. And you look at the way that guy manipulates that weapon system and how he holds his hands, that's no fucking chance in hell that is his first time carrying a gun. He has had some serious training.
Yeah.
And so that was odd.
Well, let's think about this kid. He's 20. What is he? 20 years old.
Yeah.
Doesn't have. I mean, he's been to a firing range, obviously. But, I mean, he's not military trained or anything like that. He figures all this out, builds some bombs, has a detonator with him, has a what was it, a 5.56 or what was it?
I think it came. That's
Or 220 or 223. I
Same
think
thing.
is what
Yep.
it was.
Same thing.
Yep.
So he gets up there by himself. 2 cops are behind him. He points at them, and then he has the capacity and the calmness to turn.
But that's why I think he missed, because he got rushed.
Oh, I think so too.
I think that
for sure.
them spooking him rushed him and made him go ahead because he knew
Absolutely.
everybody was looking at him. He fired.
You know how nervous you got to be too?
Oh my god!
I mean, he missed
You know?
he missed by this much.
Yeah.
I mean, to turn around and then buzz.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something just not right to it.
and the fact that he was able to park his van just a couple of blocks away in a spot that was basically saved for him.
Yeah.
And then he carried his gun
Yeah.
to the building.
Yeah. How does his gun get there?
That's the odd part. You see a guy walking through.
With a, I mean, the
Unless he
sense
assembled it, unless he carried it in a duffel, but I haven't heard anybody say that he surely wasn't carrying it on his shoulder with a strap on.
it's 100 degrees out. Why is he carrying a duffel bag around?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot of. I mean, someone's got to stop him. at some
Yeah.
point. And he's 140 yards from the stage.
with an open line of sight, with nothing obstructing it.
That's close.
It's either a conspiracy or the worst breakdown in Secret Service history,
I heard they're actually Homeland
both.
Security.
or both. And yeah, I heard that too. There's a lot of Homeland Security
Yeah.
people. Because the one chick couldn't even holster a gun.
That was funny.
I mean, it's
yeah,
hard
that
to
was-
do.
it's funny
I
to
will give her
watch,
this. Running a concealed gun under a sports coat and holstering it can be difficult. So what you do,
Just look.
you make sure your buddy has you.
Yep.
You move your sports coat back. You look and you get it over with. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
You SEALs wearing a lot of sports coats out there?
yeah,
Really?
yeah. We found like you'll get. If you go do something at the embassy, you'll get like an embassy allowance. So you go buy suits and the whole 9 yards, and then you run in dress clothes or safari clothes, which is kind of like long shirts and pants and hiking boots type deal.
So they just give you like an allowance, you just go shopping? Mm-hmm. That's kind of fun.
One time I already had everything from like the previous deployment, and you didn't have to turn in receipts. You just had to, or you had to turn in receipts. That's what it was. So I went to Bass Pro, and it just says jacket, shirt. I just bought all new duck hunting gear.
Thanks, Navy.
I had like $1,700 or something. I'm getting waders, a sick jacket with the neoprene sleeves.
I don't need an itemized receipt. Just the final one.
Oh man, I went ham in that place, and I had a great time. I got some nice clothes. I still have that jacket.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks, Uncle Sam. Anyway,
all right, back to Tracy.
I keep distracting. I'm sorry.
Fine.
So you have your own podcast.
Well, if we're on Trump, Trump's going to win, right?
God, I hope so.
This has got to just be a media frenzy of them just pumping up the.
I tried to watch the convention some last night, and it was just to kind of get a perspective. But it's really hard to get through.
It is.
It's.
Well, I didn't watch any of it.
Well, I didn't watch any of it, but they didn't put Biden on until
11:20.
Yeah,
way past prime time.
Yeah,
and they'll just use their little snippets of what they want to use.
Yeah.
But they
11:20
put him on a plane. He's going to
on
California. I heard there's U-Hauls moving stuff out of the White House yesterday too.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know if they're moving him out. I really thought he was going to pass the baton to her last night and resign from office, but I don't think they've got him there yet. No. It wouldn't surprise me because the scary thing is, here, let's go down another rabbit hole.
Send it.
So if he does resign and she assumes the presidency, and then we have a dirty bomb or something,
we go to war,
American soul, then she can claim put us in martial law, and you can't remove her from office. Then we're stuck.
Yep,
that's terrifying.
That is very scary.
We've never been in martial law or declared martial law, have we?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
not that I'm aware of.
Not during our lifetime. It may have happened.
Yeah,
but I
don't think so. Even during like the Civil War, I don't think that happened.
I don't think it was ever martial law.
No. All right. That was my last. Back to you.
So you have a podcast on. I've caught up on quite a bit of it. You have a lot of young guests, a lot of great guests. And if you guys haven't listened to it, go check it out. The Roadhouse, right? The Roadhouse.
TL's Roadhouse.
TL's Roadhouse. Have you found yourself taking more of a mentor-mentee relationship with a lot of young artists these days?
Yeah, and that was kind of the purpose, And I'm gonna go back to George Jones again. I saw George Jones do it. When the 90s rolled around, you got to think about all those guys from the 70s and 80s, like Haggard and Waylon and Willie and all those guys. I mean, some of them were kind of ticked off, and they were mad at us. Mm-hmm. I mean, because they weren't getting played on the radio anymore, and all these young kids come along, and they just took over the airwaves, and all those old cats got kicked out. George had another thriving career at that stage of his life, and he embraced all of us. And I really pondered on that because I felt both sides of it, and I thought the way that George handled it was very gracious. George never cared. If you want to go out there in the headline, he'd be happy to open for you and go back to bus and watch football on Sunday. He'd rather go on at 8 o'clock and be done. He didn't give a shit. But the way that George treated us all, and I just really felt like it was something that I needed to do. The industry's changed, but my whole approach with my podcast is to find the commonality that we all share. Mm-hmm. No matter how diverse our backgrounds are, what we came from, what our musical tastes were, because they're all over the place. The commonality is that we're very passionate about our craft, and that's really what I try to get into with all of them, and to build some of those relationships with these young kids that I wouldn't have any other way. That way, when I do go to festivals, I mean, my door's open. Y'all are always welcome to come over and have a beer with me. I mean, I want that relationship to be there with all these young guys and girls.
Have you found that you said the industry's changed? Like whenever you were coming up, then like it was radio spins. Like you were DJs, you were going to the radio stations, you were wooing them, and now with all the streaming and YouTube and everything out, have you found that it's easier for new artists or harder, or?
I think radio still plays a very valuable role in all of it because it gives you a gauge of how well things are going by having a current record on the charts, and it does impact a lot harder.
Yeah,
but I have a hard time, if something goes viral, if you get a little momentum, if you're a young kid and you got something that hits on TikTok, and then all of a sudden it goes viral, how do you follow it up?
Yeah.
Because you really don't know what you did the first time. There's really no system or method to it all.
Yeah.
That's why these labels,
it
just kind of happened, and you really don't even know how or what you did.
Yep.
So it's really hard to recreate that thing. And that's why the labels are going and finding these young kids that have 1 million followers that had popped, that had something. They want to grab them because they've already got a fan base in place, and then they can navigate the structure of releasing singles. So it still carries, it still has its place to me.
Do you have one piece of advice or, a theme that you talk to these young guys about? and gals?
You know, the biggest thing for me is to realize where you are, because I always found that you have to realize that there is a pecking order. And sometimes you have to crawl again even after you've walked, but you got to learn to bend like a tree. When you have the leverage to push your situation and you can advance your contract to a better place, you take advantage of those situations. It's all just business. But you also got to realize when you don't have that leverage, and sometimes you have to kind of kiss the ring and the things you have to do. It's all a dance, man. And being able to realize that as a young person, realize it's not the end of the world if you have to maybe cut a song you weren't 100% sure of. I mean, to kind of navigate the system, sometimes you got to bend a little bit.
What do you mean by that? Cut a song that you're not really sure of?
I had to cut one, and I mean, there was a song called Texas Tornado that I really wasn't high on. It was a Bobby Braddock song, same guy that wrote Time Marches On. And I wasn't too hot on it. The label was really pushing it, and I said, okay, let's work this out. I said, I want to start producing some stuff on my record. I said, if you'll let me cut this and let me produce it. So they actually threw me a bone and let me do a track on a movie soundtrack first. And I produced that, called Renegades, Rebels, and Rogues. And then I got to do 3 songs on the next album that James Stroud produced. The album was I See It Now, and on that record it had Texas Tornado. I produced that. Any Fool Can See, I produced that, and produced a duet with John Anderson. So that was kind of me getting my foot in the door. So I leveraged myself to kind of get something I wanted out of it. But you got to be in, man.
What was touring like in the 90s with Time Marches On?
Touring was fun. Touring's always fun. It sure is when you're young, man.
Yeah.
We had a great time. It was us against the world, man. We were like a motorcycle gang. It was a lot of fun. We were wild.
What's could you give us a wild story?
Oh goodness.
Sam's fascinated. He's fascinated by tour life.
I feel like in my previous life, I could have been a famous musician.
Or a groupie.
Yeah. I'd be very good at both.
Oh my goodness. You know, I always say I have to wait for a few more people to die first.
Yeah, I understand that. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, back then there was no cell phones either.
There was no cell phones. Everybody wasn't carrying a camera around their purse. You know,
you either saw it in person or you didn't see it.
When you pulled up in the early 90s, if you pulled into a hotel parking lot in one of those buses, it was like a spaceship landed. They'd start circling you in the parking lot.
And would you just stay out there and see who comes out?
Well, sometimes.
I know where that's going. Enough said. So you were just on tour with Riley Green?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Riley's a good guy.
He's a good dude.
He I didn't realize how massive his career is. I mean, he's so hot right now. It's he's dropping 7,000 to 9,000 people a night, which is freaking big. But it was fun. We had a good time out there. A lot of young folks. It was a great.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Probably big.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah.
He's really into hunting too, isn't he?
Oh, big time.
Yep.
Really? You guys do any hunting?
No, he's all into duck hunting and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
big
into
into
it.
duck.
Duck hunting. That's just once people get bit by that bug.
I hadn't got bit by it yet, man. I love to bird hunt. I love to quail hunt and dove hunt. I love to big hoofed animals.
Yeah. What's your bucket list hunt? Do you have one?
I've already done my big elk hunt out in Montana, and I got a huge bull
Where at?
several years ago in Cascade. That was in 2016. No, it was right before having knee surgery, I believe. I think it was 2015. Got a big bull. And I've got a 22-point non-typical that I killed down in West Texas, whitetail. That's my big trophy that's on the wall.
What did that score?
God, I don't even remember.
Probably
It was big.
two-
It's got
two
stuff
something.
hanging all.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it's beautiful. But I love. I've got a place that I go down in West Texas, and they have axis. A lot of stuff from India, axis and the fallow and the oryx and all that stuff. And I love wild game. I just like to eat wild game.
Whereabouts in West Texas?
Outside of Batesville, down there, Uvalde, Batesville area.
Yep.
Yep.
I've
A
heard of
lot of big
Uvalde.
ranches down there.
Yeah.
I've hunted quite a few of them over the years.
We went out there a couple months ago to do a helo hog hunt.
Yeah.
Have you done one of those yet?
Oh yeah, that's pretty bad.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
So
just hanging outside the helicopter. Oh yeah. That's
so
pretty
we're like,
awesome.
oh, we're just gonna go shoot some hogs. Well, the land we're flying about 500,000 acres,
Yeah.
right?
No.
What-
Like a million
Yeah.
more.
And then they put a guide on the helicopter with us, and I think it was the second day. The guide's like, hey, I talked to all the ranchers, and the ranchers altogether won about 700 all dad ewes taken off. And you guys want to go shoot some all dad? We're like, Sure.
Out of a helicopter.
Awesome.
With a 5.56.
So Jay's the first to go, or no, you're the second to go.
Yeah.
First or second, I forget. But he comes back after like 20 minutes. We're all waiting because we're gonna leave the helo going and just high five. And we're like, oh, how many did you go? How many did you kill? He goes, about 60. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And he's like, oh yeah, he flew up and they were all on the edge of a cliff and just started.
Yeah, he just the chopper. He just pinned him on the side of this mountain because where were we? We were way down south in Texas.
People don't realize. I mean, there's people get offended by this stuff. They're so overrun with hogs down there. You can't kill them fast enough.
No,
they have 2 or 3 litters a year, and they'll have 12 to 14 at a time.
Yeah.
And they start their gestation at like 7 or 8 months. So they start having babies before they're a year old. You can't kill them fast enough.
No, and the audads were the same. I mean, there was thousands upon thousands of them, and they're.
So what is that? Is that like
So
it's like a big goat.
Sheep.
Okay.
Sheep, like or a ram. So they're an invasive species, so you can hunt them year round.
Yeah.
All that stuff, and they spread disease fairly quickly, and they've really affected the native species, which is the bighorn sheep. So all these ranchers want bighorn sheep back.
I've never hunted those, and we've done javelinas and hogs.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
you can't eat them. It's worse than dog food.
Is it worse than like a black buck or like mule deer?
You can't. Dogs won't even eat them.
Did you mount any of them? I mean, it looks like it.
No, we just shot.
We shot the females because
Yeah.
they wanted the big rams to stay.
Gotcha.
Because they sell those hunts.
Gotcha.
But they're tough as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll take 8, 5.56
No
just
kidding.
and just keep on going.
Wow.
But then we were getting them up on the
I switched to 308.
Yeah, he was switching to 308. But I mean, I shot so many that first trip out there. I mean, I thought it was all suppressed. I thought the can was going to come off. It was so hot. I mean, just smoking. And the tower pilot turned around one point. He was like, "What's smoking? What's smoking?" And I'm like, "Shit, we're going down." And then I look at the gun. It's just basically on fire.
Wow.
It was fun though.
The next morning, I walk in the kitchen, and my buddy John is talking to our guide, and I come around the corner real quiet, and he's like, "Did he really shoot 60?" And he looks at me and goes, I had closer to 70. I'm like, good grief. Yeah, and so I think we got our 700 while we were there that they wanted off the ranch.
We probably killed 700 of them.
Yeah. Caught a bunch of shit on social media for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that happens.
A lot of hogs.
Yeah, a lot of hogs. One of the ranchers called in and he's like, "Hey, I want you to fly the river like right by my house. They're coming up right in my pasture." And so we're flying that river, and the helicopter's damn near over his house. And then you see them all rush out, and we just start hammering them and chase them out. And you start in the back and just work your way forward as they're running away from you.
Yeah.
It's a great time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
So could you tell us a little bit about your nonprofit that you're running?
Started Mission Possible. We're 19th year.
Really?
And
Wow.
It all started just as an awareness came for the rescue mission. I had my wife's brother. We had some issues with family, and he had addiction problems, and we had been in and out of the house. He'd been living with us for a while. We kicked him out. Been through the whole process, and it all started off with me trying to get help from the mission to try to find a pathway to get him clean and sober. And so they helped me with a lot of things, and that led to us deciding that, I love to cook, love to fry turkeys and stuff. Let's just see if we got a group of guys together, and started going down there. The first year that we did it, we bought a lot of our own turkeys. We borrowed propane bottles from the church that I was going to at the time, and everybody brought their own personal fryers, and I think we cooked 100 or so turkeys that first year.
Wow.
And then the next year we started getting sponsorship, and then we started doing 500 or 600 at a time. And then we got fryers donated and all this stuff. So we started doing this in the parking lot of the rescue mission for several years. 3 years ago, we moved it to the fairgrounds, and last year we did 1,400 turkeys.
Wow.
Right now we have 2,500 turkeys in the freezer at Second Harvest Food Bank, and there's no way we can cook them all. So what we do right now, as it's progressed through the years, we've raised millions of dollars that we've donated not only to the rescue mission, but also to a lot of smaller organizations, Shower Up, and things that help the homeless around town. But we have a network of places all in surrounding counties, and my wife and ladies will put turkeys and sides and all this stuff together and box meals up, and then they all go out for delivery the next day. We'll cook turkeys Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving every year, and we go through the prepping process. We have a whole assembly line. There'll be 120 fryers on the ground, 3 big vats. We have people set up in teams with a pit boss that come in, people that have been coming back every. We'll have 250 volunteers.
That's a lot of
and
oil.
So everybody just comes out there and cooks all day, and then we do a concert and a little auction and stuff that night.
Awesome.
And then we do a golf tournament every spring. I think it's the 3rd week of May this year. That's really where we make most of our money. The turkey fry was really just designed to be an awareness campaign for the rescue mission for people that we help, but we make most of our money at the golf tournament.
Is that a kind of like a pro-am golf tournament, or what's the structure there?
No, it's just we have a lot of celebrities, and everybody just buys in. It's just a day of drinking and eating, and slapping a white ball around.
I love golf.
Yeah.
I'm not the best at it, but I love playing.
Daily tickles me. John's there. Kid Rock's played in. I mean, we've had Dennis Quaid there. Vince Gill played last year. Of course, they won. Vince is a badass.
Oh,
yeah,
he's
Vince,
a good golfer?
Yeah, Vince is
Really?
a badass, yeah.
What is the path forward now? Like you said, you can't cook that many turkeys. You need more volunteers. Where do you need help?
No, I don't really know what our next step is. We've got to figure it out. So much of it, we grew so much. We went from cooking 550 turkeys all of a sudden to doing 1,400 last year. And being able to, the need is so much greater. I mean, it's not a problem of having a place for it to go. It's a problem with having enough time to put it all together and do what we do in a couple of days, being able to distribute it all. I don't know that we can grow that much more. It's overwhelming, the manpower that it takes.
How many turkeys can you cook at once?
Well, the fryers that we do, we have 120 that do one at a time.
Wow.
But I keep saying I don't want to lose that, because there's something, if you come see it underneath this big building with all these rows of fryers and all these people out there cooking during the day, and we got drying racks where you pull the turkeys off and hang them, let them drain, and they're boxing stuff up on one end. I got Cajun guys over there cooking jambalaya etouffee, feeding everybody lunch. I mean, it's just so much
That's
energy,
awesome.
and it's so much about the fellowship of sharing and giving back to the community. I don't want to lose that part of it. I mean, we could do a lot more faster, but I don't want to lose the charm of what it's about, because I think there's a balance there.
I saw it on social media. I think the one you guys did last year.
Yeah.
And did you guys put on a concert afterwards, or did you play? Yeah. It looked like a good time.
It's
Looked
great.
like a great event.
Wild Horse, and I had Lee Bryce and Priscilla Block and Halfway to Hazard. Who else did I have?
Gary Allen.
Gary Allen, that's right.
Yeah.
Gary Allen. No, I don't think Gary was last year. Was Gary? I think Lee Bryce was this past year.
Yeah, Ursula, and there's
There was Halfway to Hazard, and there was somebody else. Who was it? I don't know.
but we love them.
But it's fun, and we've done it. We've done it at the Wild Horse for
They did a
several
great
years.
job.
I'm hoping that it gets done. Luke Combs actually just bought the Wild Horse, and they're in a remodel right now. It's going to be called Category 10.
Really?
Where's the Wild Horse at?
2nd Avenue.
Okay.
All the way down to the Lower Broad to the left.
Oh, he bought it, huh?
He bought it. So they're saying the renovation is going to be done, and we'll be back in it because it's November. Be here pretty quick, but it's not done yet. I hope they get it done. It's really one of the few places we found that can accommodate our needs for that type of situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How many folks do you have show up to eat? All of them, I assume.
As far as from the turkey fry?
Yeah.
Well, with all those turkeys, we'll send several hundred over to the rescue mission, and they feed that throughout the week. But hundreds of box meals that go out. I mean, what's the number of the thousands of meals that we've served, Lindsay? I mean, probably 10,000 meals that we've served, thousands and thousands of meals over the years. And so a lot of it's going to programs where, a lot of kids, if they don't go to school, they don't eat.
Yep.
So, and I look at the whole thing of what we've done kind of like a tapestry. If you just kind of take this picture and this picture, or a collage, and I as I've gotten deeper into it, I've realized that the picture has so many holes left in it because you don't really realize the true depth of homelessness and addiction, and why people are there are all these peripheral organizations. Man, there are little organizations that are doing stuff out of the goodness of their heart that feed under the bridges downtown. There's groups that go Monday, some ones that go Tuesday. They all are very structured, and they all work together. I mean, they're out there, a lot of the smaller ones, just by the goodness of their heart. People aren't making any money. They're doing this. They're grinding it out week after week, trying to help people out.
Yeah.
And there's so many little organizations that you don't think about. People, I mean, Shower Up is one of the organizations. I refer to them a lot because I never thought about taking a shower or washing your clothes if you're living in a tent city. you just don't realize what it means to be able to go lock yourself into a place where you can be unafraid to take a hot shower and
safe.
take your clothes off without somebody shanking you somewhere.
Yeah.
This is violent out there. I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't realize till you get down into it and realize there's a lot of really good people out there just trying to make a difference.
It's good to hear. And you guys raised quite a bit of money.
We have
over the
millions
years.
of dollars over the years.
I saw that. That's phenomenal. That's great. That's good to hear. Do you fry a turkey every year?
Yeah.
You fry your own turkey every year?
I do. I don't really get to cook at the turkey fry anymore, so I usually do, 3 or 4 Thanksgiving morning for all my family and everybody that comes in. Because I'm too busy doing media and everything. I'll drop 1 or 2, but the thing about you got to be there. You got to watch that freaking temperature, man, because they'll get away from you real quick.
I've never done one personally. I've eaten one, but I've never done one.
Temperature is the most important thing,
Yeah.
and making sure that turkey's thawed out.
Yep.
I was about to ask if you had any incidents.
We've never had. We've been lucky.
Good.
No accidents. Knock.
It's the best way to do it.
I love leftover turkey. I like the skin. That's my
You
favorite.
like the skin?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. I'm a dirty bird, What would your last meal be?
I don't know. That's a tough
Oh,
question.
you got to answer it.
What was your last meal? Be?
Last meal. I mean, I'm a steak guy.
Okay.
We were just down. We were down in Tampa, and we've been to Burns Steakhouse. It's down in Tampa, and they actually have the biggest wine cellar in the country, oddly enough. But I mean, it's like this old. Looks like this old like goth house, and it's kind of like you go in, it's all cut up in different rooms. It's the weirdest steakhouse I've ever been, but it's the best steak I think I've ever had in my life.
No
Really?
kidding.
Yeah.
Dry aged.
Yep.
That's as good as it gets. Probably for me too. I mean, I'm a steak and
Really?
baked potato guy. I mean, I love it. I like all kinds of food, but if it was my last meal, yeah, it'd definitely be a big ass ribeye.
You're gonna say something weird. I already know it.
It's not weird. It's a big pizza and a whole bottle of ranch, maybe a little hot sauce, a Coca-Cola, and a tall vodka soda.
So random.
Then after I'm dead, just go bury me in the Hidden Valley. I mean, I want a lot of ranch.
Just fill the casket up with Hidden Valley Ranch.
Are we going thin crust or just you
Yeah,
don't really care about
no.
that because you're just gonna dump ranch on it?
No, I mean, I dip. I don't dump. I'm a gentleman. First of all, yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Weird turn. So, favorite song to sing and your favorite song that you've written.
My favorite song that I've written is probably Front Porch. It's got such great imagery to it. That'd be probably the top of my list of the commercial things that I've done. There's several that you wouldn't be familiar with that I've written, in the last few years that I really am proud of. As far as performing them, I have different favorites for different reasons, man. But it's awful hard to beat Paint Me a Birmingham every night. I mean, I close the show with it, and it brings the freaking house down.
That's
man.
my favorite song.
It just gets so much crowd reaction. It just had such a big impact out there. It was crazy how big a record that was.
Yeah, that's Time Marches On and Pay Me a Birmingham, my two favorite songs.
Those are my closing two.
Yeah. I saw you in Norfolk, Virginia, maybe, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I took my wife there for her birthday. Front row, no big deal. Third row, I think.
Norfolk.
Yep. What a weird name, right? Yeah. It's Norfolk, whatever. And I think you closed with that song, and it was phenomenal.
So you're back on tour now.
Oh yeah, man. I finished up. My last show was the 14th of December, and we're with Lainey Wilson at the MGM out in Vegas during national finals. That's a good way to shut the year down. Then I won't go back out.
23rd, you're back. Jackson.
I'll be at Wrigley Field Sunday.
Yeah, I see that.
You're closing out in Vegas in December? Mm-hmm.
Do you bus up there?
I will be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we leave any place that I can leave in the evenings to get there and wake up there the next morning. So I get on the bus and go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Shoot, yeah, man.
It's like a sound machine.
Absolutely.
So you just got, I don't know, is the word inducted into the Texas Music Hall of Fame?
Yes, sir.
Did you just ask if inducted was a word?
No, the correct word.
Yeah.
Take it easy. I'm going to carry you in pickleball later. Just be nice to me.
Duck was in that. Duck was in that word.
So when did that and how did that take place?
I was asked to do that last year, so we've been trying to schedule this whole thing, and I sent them a bunch of stuff for a kiosk. I didn't realize how many unbelievable artists have been in the Texas Music Hall of Fame. I mean, Bob Wills, Johnny Rodriguez, golly, the Oak Ridge Boys, Johnny Lee. I mean, the list is tremendous. The people. George Jones is in there. I mean, it's pretty.
George Strait in there, I assume?
No, I didn't see George Strait on the list. I don't know if he's just refused to go
just holding
acknowledge
out?
or whatever. I mean,
He lives down there in San Antonio, doesn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
George never left Texas. I was very honored, man. And the cool thing, I've invited my mom up, so they still live down in Southwest Arkansas, and I got a lot of siblings that live around Texarkana. So 3 of my sisters and all their family came, so it was pretty cool to get to share that with my mom. I mean, she's 81; she ain't gonna be with us, you know. So I'm trying to do more things to bring my family together, which can be a challenge as we all get older with our lives going in directions and kids and all that stuff. So,
You got any good hunts lined up this year?
I'm going to a bird hunt down in West Texas the second week of October, dove and quail. And then should go back to West Texas and to our high fence place that we hunt sometime in December. That'll be all I do.
You gonna go after another whitetail or an exotic? Or?
I like the exotics. My freezer's getting a little bit low.
Yeah.
The Axis is one of my favorite. Axis meat is awesome.
delicious.
Yeah,
It's,
so
it's
good.
got a little sweet taste to it. I mean, I love the Axis. And the Oryx is really good too. If you've never had Oryx,
I've heard that.
It's
So good.
really good.
Yeah.
So
had
good.
it.
Have you had Ealing?
I haven't had that.
Yeah, it's delicious also. That's
I haven't
one of my
had Red
favorites.
Stag either, but I've heard it's
never
really
have.
freaking amazing. Now they've got black buck down there. They're a little small,
Yep.
kind of 2-horn. I don't care for the meat of the black buck. It's a little gamey to me. It's a little bit wild. But I mean, we usually go down there and help kind of thin the population
Yep.
a little bit, and
Do some management hunts
do
for
some
them.
management, quite a bit of management hunting while we're down
Gotta
there.
fill the freezer somehow.
Absolutely.
So Axis is your favorite, you'd say?
That and elk. Hard to beat elk.
Hard to
I
beat
still love
elk. It's hard to beat elk.
I've never had moose. I'd love to eat some moose.
I've had moose. It's a lot like elk. I think it's a little bit richer.
It's a little bit more like a cow. It's a little
Yep,
bit, does
yep.
it have marbling and stuff? Elk
Yep.
doesn't really have a lot of marbling.
No,
in
it's
it.
so lean.
Yeah.
But moose is kind of similar because but they're eating a lot more like aquatic plants and stuff
Yeah.
too. So it's just I think it's a little bit denser, but it's phenomenal.
Do you put any fat in your elk? In your burger or anything like that?
In my burgers, I do.
Yeah.
Do you do it with your exotic game? Any pork
yeah,
fat or
yeah,
beef
they
fat?
usually put a little pork in there when
Yeah.
we process it. Yeah.
In 5-10%.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm doing a moose hunt in. Am I doing a moose hunt? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing a moose hunt in Canada, beginning of October. So
That's cool.
I'm excited about that.
I hadn't had bear yet. They say it's good, but I've never bear hunted either.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a real rich.
So
It's trash.
no, I thought it was good. I've eaten all of mine. I turned it into hamburger, then ate the back straps.
Saw something. Somebody ate some the other day, and
Can
they didn't
kill
cook
you.
it good enough, and it had worms all in it. They got brain worms.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what I got going on.
trichinosis.
You got a brain worm. That explains a lot.
I mean, bears eat like guts and
They eat anything.
they can get.
They'll eat anything.
they
They're
have,
scavengers.
Yeah, so they have worms inside of them. You can get it. It's trichinosis. I mean, it can kill you.
I think
You
eating
have
a
to-
mountain lion is
So
weirder
you
than
don't
eating
do
a
bear sushi.
No, bear you have to cook it like medium well.
Yeah.
And so it turns like if you like pot roast, like people put it in crock pots and
Yeah.
make like pot roast out of it. Whatever. I'm not a big pot roast guy, but my dad likes it. Like he makes like burgers and
Yeah,
shit out of it.
that's
And
what
I'm
I
just
do,
like,
too.
Keep it to yourself.
And I take the back straps, soak them in buttermilk for 72 hours, change out the buttermilk every 24 hours, then grill them like that, and they're delicious.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. If I kill like a spring bear like straight out of the den, and it hasn't killed 16 mule deer by then, I might give it a go. But like a fall bear, not touching that thing.
Have you heard that mountain lion is good to eat?
No.
Either way.
I've heard mountain lion's amazing to eat.
Would you
Really?
eat it?
I'll give it a go. I'm not gonna.
I wouldn't be afraid to try it. I've eaten a rattlesnake. I mean, I've eaten just about a rabbit and squirrel and
Yeah.
just all kinds
I'll
of
give it.
hood animals.
I'll give
I'd
it a
try
shot.
it.
But Donnie Vincent said that backstrap on a mountain lion is his favorite, and he's hunted all over the world. He said it is his favorite thing to eat.
I got to try it.
So kill a mountain lion.
Yeah.
I got a few in my place.
I drew an elk tag for Montana this year.
Did you really?
Yeah. So going out to his place in late September and going to spend a week or more out there trying
That's
to get one
cool.
with a bow. So he poked one last year. I didn't draw a tag last year. I was just out bear hunting. He poked one last year at 72 yards.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's close, man.
So, no, with a bow.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's
yeah.
to get that close to a freaking elk, man.
Did you shoot yours with a rifle?
I did.
Yeah.
About 350 yards. It was a real cool hunt, man. It was a thing that we did for the Outdoor Channel. So I'd gone up there with Christy. What was her name?
Christy, no?
Yep.
Titus?
No, Christy Titus.
Titus, yeah.
So there was like 3 or 4 of us, and we all had a guide with us, and we'd go out. We hunted 3 days. We'd go out and glass at the base of the mountain in the morning. We'd get up and go out with our guide, and we'd sit out there and watch them. He'd wait until he saw which way they were going up, and then we'd come back and eat breakfast. We'd go to the range, shooting stuff. And I'd missed one on the first day, but I'm telling you, you put a heavy pack on. It's warm down at the bottom. You got to take your coat and stuff with you, and you're a 2-hour freaking hike going up to whichever they're going. And
they're not easy to get to.
They're not. So I missed one the first day. The second day, it was really bad. I mean, you get up there and the altitude gets you, and all of a sudden you're sweating, and then it gets freezing cold, and there's drizzling up top and all that. Second day was pretty rough. Nobody got a shot. Third day.
What month was this?
It would have been October.
Oh, yeah. It gets a little nasty there.
Yep. So the third day, we go through the same process, and we start going. About 2 o'clock, we start heading back up the mountain with packs and guns and everything, hike all the way up top, and it was really cool. So we went up to this place, and I mean, you're so remote. I mean, it was like a little altar. We'd gone up on this little bluff, and there was this like flat rock they'd put there, and there were Indian arrowheads and stuff all over those. Almost
Really?
a religious experience.
Yeah.
And there was a big canyon and like a gorge that they had run through, and there was 150, 200 freaking elk moving through this passageway. I mean, they're all freaking bugling. I mean, there's big freaking bulls and cows and everything, but it's 300 and something yards now.
Yeah.
And so we got up there and got situated. My guys, he slowed my breathing down and everything. And I hit that bull right in the freaking heart, man. He went about 50 yards and crashed into the trees. It was the greatest shot I've ever made. I can't shoot the gun that well, but it was pretty awesome. But there was 9 of us total. It took us 6.5 hours to cape him and quarter him and pack him back out, because we had to carry him back down just to get to the trucks.
I was going to ask, how
It was
was
dark
getting him
by
out
the
of
time
there?
we got down there, and you're worried about bears and things
Yeah.
coming at you,
Yeah.
and you're dragging raw meat and a head. I carried the head down. So I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, just the physical demanding nature of it all.
Yeah,
It was intense.
Like you said, it's very demanding just to find them and get on them and get close enough.
And then to get it out.
And then get it out.
Yeah.
That's one of the hard part, really hard.
Yeah.
We got lucky where yours ended up.
Very lucky.
He went down into a draw, and we were able to pull a side by side, maybe 150 yards or something like
Probably
that.
closer than that.
You
And
can shoot Trump at that distance.
At least try.
here we go.
Just kidding, Secret Service.
Yeah, our trigger pull's on point. But yeah, I just carried a couple of the quarters, that 100 yards or so, and it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I just had them in the white bags or whatever, wouldn't have them in a pack or anything.
Big animals.
They really are, man. They're massive.
And it's amazing how fast they can go from one range down to the other range.
Or what they can go through without you hearing them.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they lean that head back. They can slide through some brush, and you don't even know they're there. It's
That's the
crazy.
amazing part. How do they get
I
through
have
everything
no idea.
with,
That
antlers out
massive
to
thing.
here?
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't
Well, you
know.
carried it. I've carried them out too, and it's just they're oddly heavy.
They're heavy.
The heads and the antlers?
Oh,
yeah, those horns are heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did yours score? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Huge.
I got a picture of him.
6x6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me find him. I have to show him to you now that we've talked about it.
Of course.
What are you going? You're bow hunting, right?
Yeah.
Are you? I mean, a 5x5 comes in. Are you letting it fly? Or are you waiting?
I don't know.
I mean, his first day you could be on one, and
I think I'm going to hold out.
you're
and
going
wait.
to be selective.
I say that now.
Check it out. Yeah. It's a big boy.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a hunt of my lifetime right there.
Jesus.
How many trips did you have to make, you said?
That was 3 days. That was the third day. I was the only one that harvested an elk.
Really?
I was the only one out of the whole bunch.
No, I mean, how many trips back to the truck did you guys have to make going back with
No,
me?
they had 9.
That was one.
They
That
had
was 9 of us. That was
nine
one
people.
trip.
Okay,
Dude,
gotcha.
we were 2 hours up the mountain.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was. We take all you can take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Got
think we
great-
left the
he's
rib
got-
cage.
He's got great fronts.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a bull. He's 330 all day.
Do you have any interest in bear hunting?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's not.
If I'm
you
not
just-
going to eat it, I mean, it's kind of my thing. If I don't really want to eat it, I really don't want to kill it.
You kind of
unless
just
I'm
sit
doing
there.
management
You kind of
stuff.
just sit there and glass and drink some beer, and maybe one pops out. Pretty much what we do.
It's always good when you drink beer.
Exactly.
We don't do that with firearms.
Huh?
We don't do that with firearms.
No, not at all. I was talking about the scouting part.
Yeah. It's allowed. It's allowed when you're scouting. We have a spring bear hunt lined up in Idaho with bears that are in color phase mainly, so I'm really excited about that. But I love bear hunting, and I eat them. But I'm really excited about it.
You ever have one turn on you come after you?
I have not. I have shot 2 in the head, and that dropped right away. Then the other one I shot just went like 20 yards or 30 yards or so. But Jay thought he was going to have one turn on him this last year.
I was from Me to the Girls on the one that I shot this year.
Oh,
I was out there with Smith and my girlfriend, and she shot. I think it was the same bear, but it was like 420 the first shot. And this high. Reloaded, popped another one. It was probably 480, and again high again. And then we didn't see a bear for the rest of the week, and it was the last afternoon. We were kind of roasted because we've been walking everywhere. And I was like, "You want to go out?" She's like, "No." And so I was like, "Well, I'm going to fire up the grill." It was probably like 5. Sun was still pretty high. And this is May.
Yeah, spring.
And my cabin, like the mountains kind of behind us and out in front of us, it's just cattle and ranch land. Sagebush. It's just nasty stuff. And there's a driveway. And I look out, and the driveway coming up is 80 yards. And this black bear is just walking down the driveway while I'm lighting the grill. I yell at her, I'm like, "Sam, bear, do you want him?" She's like, "You're full of shit. I'm taking a shower. Leave me alone." I'm like, "I'm going to go kill this bear." She's like, "Fine, go." I'm in flip-flops, shorts, T-shirt, and I grab my gun, and he's kind of
the luckiest fucker when it comes to
and he's kind of walking. He's kind of walking this fence line, and there's like these pines and stuff kind of up here. It's kind of rocky and hilly, but it's not really thick. There's a pine here, 10 feet. There's another pine, so you can kind of see through it. So I jump the fence, and I'm running after this dude, and I get to a certain point. I'm like, "Shit, where is he at? I'm chasing a bear. Let's calm down for a second." And I'm looking. I'm like, I go to the fence. He's not in the fence line. I'm like, he has to be in these pines somewhere. The wind's good. The next thing I know, I kind of peek around this pine tree, and he's just standing right there, butt to me, just feeding, kind of sniffing around. And I've got a big 300 Norma with a can on it, my huge scope. So I'm like trying to like get it on this bear. And I finally get him in the scope, and then from Me to the Girls. And he kind of like looks back at me, and I just let a round go, and it was over.
wow.
I've had one act a fool, but I was in a tree stand. I shot it in the head, and it was the last evening, my first bear hunt. I set all day for like 5 days, and then I hear something behind me, and I'm on a hill looking uphill in a tree stand. So I'm looking downhill behind me, and I see this black back, and at first I thought it was a hog because it was making a weird noise. And then I scraped the tree a little bit, and it looks up at me, and I lose my shit. I get bad buck fever. I'm like, "Oh, here it is. It's the last night." And then I'm like, just sit there and wait. I'm losing daylight, see if he comes up underneath me. And he just doesn't move. He's eating grubs or something. So I slowly stand up, turn around, and now the tree is between my legs. My feet are off the end, and I put my arm around the tree, so I can put my gun on my arm like this and kind of rest it. So I get on him, and I scrape the tree, and it looks up. Like, I'm going to shoot him right in the face. And and the guy told me, he's like, "Don't shoot bears in the face. It can ricochet off." You hear all these
Ricochet
myths.
off?
That's what I heard. Because their skulls are so tough, it can ricochet off.
No
So
chance.
I hear all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I said, I think I'm just going to send it. And this is my self-dialogue. So I scraped the tree. He looked up. Boom. I let him have it, and he claps. I'm like, all right, nailed him. Then he gets up, maybe, 4 seconds later, starts hitting the ground, starts hitting all the trees around him, and just walks off.
After you shot him in the
After I shot him in the
face?
face. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I must have hit him in the ear or something. Like, I blew this out of my ass, and it was only like a 70-yard shot. And I don't know why I didn't shoot him as he was walking away. I was just in disbelief, to tell you the truth. And then I hear the death growl, and you hear him gargling blood and yelling, and I get down there to him, and the guide shows up, and he's like, "Oh, here's the exit wound." It was right here. There's a good exit wound, and he's like, "Where's the entrance wound?" and I'm messing with his face, and it was just off center in between his eyes. And I shot him. It went right in between his eyes, down through his throat, blew out a lung, and went out his side.
Wow.
And he still made it that far. 308.
So have you been to a place called the Top of the Rock up in Missouri?
No, I'm
It's
not.
the guy that owns Bass Pro Shop has built this golf destination lodge. Anyway, my point being, when you go into the main lobby there at the place, he's got the skeletons of a woolly mammoth, a North American tiger. They saw from prehistoric stuff, and what is called a slope-faced bear. Real skeleton of a slope-faced bear right there in the lobby.
Aren't those
That's-
huge?
It's like that much taller
Yeah.
than a polar bear.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Yeah, they're
massive.
massive.
I
I've
mean,
never
and
heard
the
of it.
claws, the hands on that thing. I mean, we were just there this past week. I mean, it's terrifying, the size of that thing. It's unbelievable. I mean, it had to be 12 foot tall. It's massive.
Yeah.
Think about
Really?
running into something like that in the freaking woods, man. I mean,
Slope-faced bear. I'm going to have to check
slope-faced,
this out.
massive.
We were walking.
I mean, they make a little black bear look like
Yeah.
a puppy dog.
Yeah.
we were walking, and I was bored because we were bear hunting, and we were walking down some of the trails, and I was like, I'm just gonna do like a dead rabbit call or something because I had one of those.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a mountain lion that screamed. I mean,
Really?
I think it was tracking us for a while.
That's scary.
Oh, those things terrify
Yeah.
me. I mean, even when I'm out there, I mean, even when I have my rifle, I still have a handgun, and I mean, I'm always looking up in the trees because those things.
Didn't you guys
terrify
see
me.
a massive one, you and Sam?
We saw a massive one 2 years ago. Yeah,
I'd love to go run dogs and get one.
yeah. So would I.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. Take the right track.
So, what do you got going on next?
Right now, just getting through the end of the year. I mean, it's been really good since. I mean, I don't know. I don't plan on going back in the studio anytime soon. I don't know. I'm just kind of enjoying myself.
There you go.
Got my oldest daughter through college. She just finished with her master's degree, and so she's done. She's trying to figure out what she's going to do the rest of her life. My youngest daughter's on the road with us now, so my wife's traveling with me more than she's been able to do in years. So I'm just kind of enjoying the place
Good
I'm
for
at
you.
right now.
Yeah,
Working a
that's good.
lot and
Yeah.
enjoying doing what I do.
Good for you. And on tour closing out in Vegas in December.
Yep.
I'll be out there for what's it called? Cowboy Christmas?
Oh, I'll
The
be there.
Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation puts on.
I'm going to go a couple of days, man. You got to go to Cowboy Christmas.
Yeah.
I've
When
is
never
that?
been. It's like this-
December
it's
4th
like
through the 14th. It's a
it's
10-day
like-
convention.
Yeah. So it's like 3 stories in the Vegas Convention Center, and it's
Yeah.
all Western apparel. All the Western outlets will be there. You can get a 6-horse freaking slant. You can get custom cowboy made furniture, all kinds of handmade furniture. It's like 3 stories of this stuff. You can't get through it all in a day.
Sounds like I need to go.
The furniture's freaking amazing. There's nice shit there. man.
We're going to be there with the booth the whole time.
Oh, perfect.
So-
I'll be there at some point.
Do you know what your booth number is? I'll come see you because I know we'll
no.
probably be out there 12, 13.
No, as soon as I get it, though, I'll let
Yeah,
you know.
please.
Yeah, that'd be
'cause
great.
we have to go make our rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy at the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. He said Traeger did like 400K or 350K in sales in those 10
No
days.
kidding.
Traeger did?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So,
That's crazy.
Try not to go to a convention and buy something.
yeah,
No.
you have
It's like
to.
a big mall.
And they have bars all over the place you can drink during the day too. It's awesome. What else could you ask for?
See, that's why I don't understand like the Turkey Foundation. Why don't they have bars there? Like that's how you get people to buy stuff.
Absolutely.
You liquor them up.
Yeah.
At the Dallas, have you been to the Dallas Safari Club, the one in Dallas? I know they're moving it to Atlanta this year, but that they do it right there. There's bars like
Yeah.
on the corner of every aisle or section or something like that. So, and then you're allowed to give out booze and in your booth or
As it should
what
be.
have you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Well, what else you got?
Nothing. This was fun.
Anything else, Tracy?
Thank y'all. I've enjoyed it. Good
Yeah.
conversation, man.
I appreciate you
Have fun.
coming
Have
on,
fun
my
on the
man.
road, and
Always.
hopefully we'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
soon again.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
All right, appreciate you, my man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. And he got you some of our drinkware down there also. Awesome.